This is gonna be a two-part video because Gimli unfortunately rolled over onto the keyboard again. So two-parter this time around. The Hound, he thought. It was out there tonight. It's out there now. If I open the window. He did not open the window, hey buddy. He had chills and fever in the morning. You can't be sick, said Mildred. He closed his eyes over the hotness. Yes, don't eat the book. Come on, buddy. But you were all right last night. No, I wasn't all right. He heard the relatives shouting in the parlor. Mildred stood over her bed. All the cats are coming over here now. Hey, Bilbo. Careful, guys. Don't. Mildred stood over his bed curiously. He felt her there. He saw her without opening his eyes, her hair burnt by chemicals to a brittle straw, her eyes with a kind of cataract unseen, but suspect far behind the pupils, the reddening, pouted lips. The body is as thin as a praying mantis from dieting, and her flesh like white bacon. He could remember her no other way. Will you bring me aspirin and water? You've got to get up, she said. It's noon. You slept 5 hours later than usual. Will you turn the parlor off? He asked. It's my family. Will you turn it off for a sick man? Turn it down. She went out of the room and did nothing to the parlor and came back. Is that better? Thanks. It's my favorite program, she said. What about the aspirin? You've never been sick before. She went away again. Well, I'm sick now. I'm not going to work tonight. Call Beatty for me. You acted funny last night. She returned, humming. Where's the aspirin? He glanced at the water glass she handed him. Oh. She walked to the bath again. Did something happen? A fire is all. I had a nice evening, she said in the bathroom. What doing? The parlor. What was on? Programs. What programs? Some of the best ever. Who? Oh, you know, the bunch. Yes, the bunch, the bunch, the bunch. He pressed at the pain in his eyes, and suddenly the odor of kerosene made him vomit. Mildred came in humming. She was surprised. Why'd you do that? He looked with dismay at the floor. We burned an old woman with her books. It's a good thing the rug's washable. She fetched a mop and worked on it. I went to Helen's last night. Couldn't you get the shows in your own parlor? Sure, but it's nice visiting. She went out into the parlor. He heard her singing. Mildred, he called. She returned, singing, snapping her fingers softly. Aren't you going to ask me about last night? He said. What about it? We burned 1,000 books. We burned a woman. Well, the parlor was exploding with sound. We burned copies of Dante and Swift and Marcus Aurelius. Wasn't he a European? Something like that. Wasn't he a radical? I never read him. He was a radical. Mildred fiddled with the telephone. You don't expect me to call Captain Beatty, do you? You must! Don't shout. I wasn't shouting. He was up in bed suddenly, enraged and flushed, shaking. The parlor roared in the hot air. I can't call him. I can't tell him I'm sick. Why? Because you're afraid, he thought. A child feigning illness, afraid to call because after a moment's discussion the conversation would run so. Yes, Captain, I feel better already. I'll be in at 10 o'clock tonight. You're not sick, said Mildred. Montag fell back in bed. He reached under his pillow. The hidden book was still there. Mildred, how would it be if, well, maybe I quit my job a while? You want to give up everything after all these years of working because one night some woman and her books? You should have seen her, Millie. She's nothing. She's nothing to me. She shouldn't have had books. It was her responsibility. She should have thought of that. I hate her. She's got you going, and next thing you know, we'll be out, no house, no job, nothing. You weren't there. You didn't see, he said. There must be something in books, things we can't imagine, to make a woman stay in a burning house. There must be something there. You don't stay for nothing. She was simple-minded. She was as rational as you and I, maybe so, perhaps, more so, perhaps. And we burned her. That's water under the bridge. No, not water, fire. You ever seen a burned house? It smolders for days. Well, this fire will last me the rest of my life. God, I've been trying to put it out in my mind all night. I'm crazy with trying. You should have thought of that before becoming a fireman. Thought, he said. It's like given a choice. My grandfather and father were firemen. In my sleep, I ran after them. The parlor was playing a dance tune. This is the day you should go in on the early shift, said Mildred. You should have gone 2 hours ago. I just noticed. It's not just the woman that died, said Montag. Last night I thought about all the kerosene I've used in the past 10 years, and I thought about books, and for the first time I realized that a man was behind each one of the books. A man had to think them up. A man had to take a long time to put them down on paper. I never even thought of that before. He got out of bed. It took some man a lifetime, maybe, to put some of his thoughts down, looking around at the world and life, and then come along in 2 minutes, and boom! It's all over. Let me alone, said Mildred. I didn't do anything. Let you alone? That's all very well, but how can I leave myself alone? We need not to be let alone. We need to be really bothered once in a while. How long is it since you were really bothered? About something important, about something real? And then he shut up, for he remembered last week and the two white stones staring up at the ceiling, and the pump snake with the probing eye, and the two soap-faced men with the cigarettes moving in their mouths when they talked. But that was another Mildred. That was a Mildred so deep inside this one, and so bothered, really bothered, that the two women had never met. He turned away. Mildred said, Well, now you've done it. Out in front of the house. Look who's here. I don't care. There's a Phoenix car just drove up and a man in a black shirt with an orange snake stitched on his arm coming up the front walk. Captain Beatty, he said. Captain Beatty. And so this will be an interesting scene tomorrow because his boss is going to show up to his house. And remember, he's got this book hidden under his pillow there. So it'll be kind of a tense moment. Does Beatty know about the book? Something to think about for tomorrow. Sorry that this one will be in 2 parts. Blame Gimli for that one. Otherwise, if you have any questions on your assignment today, let me know. Have a great rest of your day.